Today we're going to do something a little different. I've been looking at a recipe on the internet for a little while for easy garlic cheese butter potatoes. It's by Cooking Haru, I believe is how you pronounce it. They do some really neat recipes, but I've been looking at this one for a little while. Some of it I like, some of it I don't. We'll get to all that by the end. You need about 4 to 6 potatoes. You need half a tablespoon of minced garlic. You need 1 teaspoon of oregano, 1 teaspoon of plain salt, 1 teaspoon of black pepper, 6 tablespoons of parmesan cheese, and you also need 6 tablespoons of melted butter. First thing we're going to do is cut the potatoes up. You cut a little slice off the sides and then cut them in half so they sit up. Cut up all your potatoes. Then you're going to make some cross hatches in the potatoes, not all the way through, just about halfway, so the garlic butter goes down in through the potatoes. You want to do it on the top and the bottom. So then you want to take the 6 tablespoons of butter, and you can just melt it in the microwave. Once you've done that, just mix all the other ingredients into the butter. I did the garlic first. You can mince your own garlic, but since I'm the lazy chef, I just use the stuff from the jar. You can do this in any order you want. Then the Parmesan cheese. I do have a list of all the ingredients in the show notes. I also have a link to the original recipe for this that they made. Then the teaspoon of salt, teaspoon of pepper, then the teaspoon of oregano. Mix it all up really well. I ended up using a whisk to finish it up. So they suggest putting the butter on the top or the big side of the potato, then flipping it over and putting it on the small side and roasting it. I wasn't sure which way would work better, the top up or the bottom up. So I did both ways on this one. And I only used one of the potatoes. Tell you why here in a couple of minutes. But I did coat both sides. I put them on the aluminum foil which was a mistake. More on that here in just a minute too. And then I put it in my oven at 400 degrees for 20 minutes. Once the 20 minutes is done, I took it out and flipped them. I tried to flip them. That was a mistake using the aluminum foil instead of the silicone mat, which is what they suggested. Then I put it back in for another 10 minutes. Still at about 400 degrees. They turned out okay, but they did break apart quite a bit on the aluminum foil. You do need to use either probably parchment paper or a silicone mat. I decided I was going to put them back in my Anova oven using steam, using the silicone mat, and also I had them flipped different ways, and one of the potatoes I cut a little too far, so I ended up with some potato wedges. And we'll talk about that again a little bit more in the video here. So I do have this one set on 30% steam on my Anova Combi oven. It generally helps stuff crisp up really nice. See all the steam coming out of it there. So after 20 minutes, trying to be careful not to burn myself on the steam, I brought them over here to flip them again, just like the first ones. And they did much better not sticking using a silicone mat. And like I said, if you had parchment paper, I'm sure it would do just about the same thing. The aluminum foil, they just stuck to too much. One thing I didn't show in this video is after I put it back in the oven, I took it back out and I brushed them with the butter that I had left. Don't skimp on using the butter. Use every bit of it. The more you do, the crustier they get and the better they taste. It will look like you're just globbing it on. Don't worry about it. It makes it taste much better. The butter in this recipe is phenomenal. Use my Ove Gloves to take the hot pan out, of course. I've got a link in the show notes for them. And they turned out really well. Micah and I just ate them right off the pan, even though they were still too hot to eat. Hey, they're great. Oh my God, that's hot. Like I said, we ate them right out of the pan. They turned out pretty good. Now, my suggestion for this, don't go through all the trouble of scoring these and cutting them a certain way. What I would just do is I would use the same garlic butter mixture that he makes, but I would just cut the potatoes into eighths. Cut it into half, cut that half into half, cut that half into half. So you have 8 pieces and just brush the foo out of them. You could turn them halfway through at 20 minutes, turn them, brush them a little bit more and put them back in, and that should work fine too. And now for the rating system. We have 4 categories, 1 being a lazy chef, 5 being a full home chef, for a total of up to 20 points. The prep time for this is really a 1X, especially if you make it potato wedges instead of doing all the cross hatching in them. Number of ingredients is about a 3X. There's a few ingredients in here. Unique ingredients is a 1. This is all common stuff. Unique equipment, it's a 1. You don't need an Anova Combi oven, but it does help them crisp up a little bit. It'll work fine in just any oven. For a total of 6X. If you could, I'd appreciate a like and subscribe. Make sure to click the bell so you get notified every Thursday at noon when we have a new recipe come out. Let me know if you try it. Thanks.